EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's Identify EPI. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Now your 3-day weather forecast on Bloomberg 1130.
Cloudy, chance of a little light rain tonight. Most of the rain will be to the east, breezy, and a low near 40. Tomorrow becoming partly to mostly sunny, breezy, high up near 60. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, low near 40. Tuesday, sunny skies, cool and dry, high near 50. And looking ahead to Wednesday, mostly cloudy, very mild, high up near 60. That's your Bloomberg 3-day weather forecast. I'm Susanna Palmer. Now let's get a check of Bloomberg Sports.
The Chiefs and Eagles kick off the Super Bowl at 6:30. It's Casey's third appearance in the last 4 years. They're looking to win their second championship during the Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes era. It'll be the first time that two African-American quarterbacks are starting in the Super Bowl, with Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts going head-to-head. Turning to the NBA, the Warriors have until 9:30 tonight to undo a 4-team trade in which they acquired Portland guard Gary Payton II. Payton has an abdomen injury that could sideline him indefinitely. That's the Bloomberg Sports Update. I'm Joel Sir.
Welcome back. Former Vice President Mike Pence was subpoenaed this week by Special Counsel Jack Smith in his investigation into the January 6th attack and Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the election results. The move by the Justice Department sets up a potential clash over the issue of executive privilege if the former president chooses to fight the Pence subpoena. And it's just the latest development in nearly half a dozen inquiries involving the former president. In Manhattan last month, a grand jury began to hear testimony on Trump's alleged role in paying hush money to porn star Stormy Daniels, whose real name is Stephanie Clifford, during the 2016 campaign. District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office is also continuing to examine the way in which the former president valued his assets. His lead prosecutor in that case, Mark Pomerantz, resigned last year, calling Bragg's decision not to pursue charges at the time a grave failure of justice. Now, in a new tell-all, People versus Donald Trump, an inside account, Pomerantz lays out his case for prosecuting Trump. And some critics worry the book could hurt any eventual Trump prosecution. In fact, this week, Alvin Bragg fired back.
I bring hard cases when they are ready. Last year when I took office, I did an exhaustive review of a matter put before me and came to the same conclusion that multiple senior prosecutors in my office independently came to. And that was that Mark Pomerantz's case simply was not ready. I continue to be concerned that it could jeopardize or undermine our ongoing investigation.
Well, joining me now for his side of this story is former Manhattan Special Assistant District Attorney Mark Pomerantz, author of this book. Mr. Pomerantz, welcome to Meet the Press.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let me start with the criticism, because he's not the only one criticizing. Here's some legal experts. Barbara McQuaid, a former U.S. attorney, writing a book about a pending investigation was really poor form. Cynthia Altzney, a former federal prosecutor, strikes me as totally improper. Eliza Orlins, New York City public defender, this book could do irreparable damage to an ongoing investigation. I know you've heard this criticism. What say you?
Well, I think the criticism is unfounded, and I can tell you in a nutshell why. First, with respect to the Stormy Daniels investigation that has gained impetus over the last month or so, the facts have been in the public domain for literally years. In fact, as I was doing research and pulling together the facts for my summary of what would go into the book, where I went to discover those facts was the internet, Michael Cohen's book, and the publicly available information from the federal prosecution of Michael Cohen. That's item one. Item two...
Let me stop you there, though. In fairness, you know what was in that grand jury testimony, though. So you know what... you can't unknow that information, so even though you're using the public record, what you choose to excerpt is certainly not... Is it not influenced by what you know took place in the grand jury?
Everything that went into the book with regard to the Stormy Daniels investigation, the financial statement investigation, was in the public domain, and if there was a detail that wasn't, as soon as there's an indictment, if there is an indictment, we don't know yet whether there will be a prosecution. If there is a prosecution, on day one, under New York's discovery law, which is among the most liberal in the United States, the defendant, in this case Donald Trump, will get everything that the DA has by way of witness statements, documents, facts, and so on. So there's nothing that...
So in theory, anything in this book, what you're saying is he's going to get disclosed to him on day one post-indictment if one has happened.
He will get on day one all of the materials, for instance, that reveal what Michael Cohen said when he was interviewed privately in the DA's office. That immediately gets turned over to the defense. If you move forward in a prosecution and you ask the question, well, will it be possible to pick a fair jury? I think when you look at it, there are challenges picking a jury in a case, a criminal case against Donald Trump. The challenges flow from the ocean of ink that has been spilled about Donald Trump and his lies and what I believe is crime. So I don't think my book is going to make the slightest difference if there's a jury.
All right, but let me ask you about your former life as a defense attorney, because Andrew Weissman wrote in his book review, he believes if charges are brought, this book is certainly going to be used in countless ways by the defense. The book improperly hurts an eventual Trump prosecution. One wonders if having this account at this time will have been worth it. If you were Trump's defense attorney, regardless of what you're saying now, would you use your book as it is to fight for an appeal that might say, hey, this is an unfair prosecution?
But Donald Trump's defense attorney is going to make objections about everything under the sun. We know that. But I
will probably use the book.
I can tell you this: if he tries to use the book in litigating the case, I'll make a prediction. My prediction is that if that should happen, the district attorney's office will be saying, there's nothing in this book that should prejudice this prosecution. The book has nothing to do with the facts and the law on which the case has to be decided. So the book is meaningless. It doesn't provide any kind of defense. And if they make that argument, they'll be right.
When you chose to write this book, when you chose to resign, it seems like you were pretty convinced this case was never going to be brought. Had you thought he was still going to bring the case, would you have written this book?
I did think that the investigation was over. That's how it was presented to us from the circumstances.
Had it not been over, would you be here today?
I would have thought more about it, but I don't think I would have reached a different conclusion because I am as sure as I can be, based on decades of practice, that this book is not going to compromise a prosecution. My whole point in writing the book was there needs to be a prosecution. If I thought that the book was going actually to jeopardize a case, I wouldn't have written it.
It seems as if, and this tension is in your book, there's a lot of violations of federal law that you can't really pursue at the Manhattan DA level. How important is it to flip Alan Weisselberg if the Manhattan DA is going to have a case?
It would have been great to get Alan Weisselberg's cooperation in a state case, in a federal case. He worked for Donald Trump for decades. He was the money guy.
As you write, you need a narrator sometimes in an indictment. Is he the ideal narrator?
He would have been a good narrator depending on the crime. For the hush money case that the district attorney appears to be getting ready to bring, the narrator for that case is Michael Cohen. He was right in the middle of it, and he's
a reliable narrator.
I thought he was telling the truth in what he said about the hush money and the cover-up of the reimbursement and so on. Look, I talked about Michael Cohen's credibility in the book, but I don't think I was divulging any secret sauce when I made the point that his credibility will be challenged. Everybody knows that.
Why do you think? My interpretation of Cy Vance's actions when he decided not to seek re-election was, it seemed like he knew he wanted to try to take as much politics out of the potential investigation that he was doing of Trump. The fact that he chose not to at the end of his term, to me, said something. Why do you think he chose not to greenlight an indictment?
Cy Vance did greenlight the indictment.
Then why didn't it happen?
It didn't happen because we were working along. Bear in mind, Chuck, we got the basic tax and accounting materials after months, indeed years of litigation, 2 trips to the Supreme Court. We got those materials in February 2021. Within 4 months, we had indicted the Trump Corporation, the Trump Organization, and Alan Weisselberg on the tax charges that were later tried during Alvin Bragg's tenure. We then moved forward on the financial statement investigation. The concept is not difficult. You can't lie on financial statements and get financing. But probing the financial statements themselves, which were prepared over the course of many, many years, dozens of assets, hundreds of data points, thousands of data points, that took time. Cy Vance would have loved to have seen this case indicted during his tenure. And he wanted to make...
Did you not have it by the end of his tenure? I mean, it feels like if he had had it, he'd have greenlit it.
He did greenlight it.
But then it didn't, but then the indictment didn't happen.
We couldn't get it done. We were working days, nights, and weekends at this point. And one of the events I describe in the book, as we got into the later part of 2021, we were working so fast that the investigative team had a near mutiny, and they came to the judgment with which I agreed, look, we need to bring this case when it's ready. It should not be brought on the calendar that has to do with Cy Vance's.
Do you regret pressuring Alvin Bragg?
I
Do
mean,
you think you should have given him a little more time to sort of absorb the case?
I think he had the time that he asked for. There was no dialogue that was, look, I need a couple of more months to review this. Everybody on the investigative team thought the case was ready for an up or down decision, and it needed to be made. And the DA's response was, all right, you need a decision, I get that, the decision's no. And then everything else happened.
All right, Mark Pomeroy, that's all the time I have. The book, I recommend it to folks, an easy read. Good luck with it, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your position.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
When we come back, it's Super Bowl Sunday. Other than Meet the Press, of course, why football is the last shared experience for all Americans when it comes to what we watch on television.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, over-designed, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code BUSINESS at checkout. That's harrys.com, code BUSINESS. Enjoy.
How long does it take to tackle a home project? With Angie, you could cross it off your list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need. Indoor or outdoor, repair or redesign. And we handle the rest. Sending a top pro to get it done. You don't have to lift a finger, except to tap the screen or click the mouse. Plus, Angie is free to use. So bring us your next home project, and we'll bring it home. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started. What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Don't let someone else drive off in the Audi model you've always wanted. Visit your local tri-state Audi dealer to get behind the wheel of yours today. Or visit AudiOffers.com for more information.
Interactive Brokers charges margin loan rates from 5.08% to 6.08%. Their clients can also earn extra income by lending their fully paid shares of stock. Join Interactive Brokers clients from 200 plus countries and territories to invest in stocks, options, futures, funds, and bonds globally. Minimize your costs to maximize your returns. Rates subject to change. Learn more at ibkr.com/compare.
What we found when we started the Bloomberg Media Initiative Africa Financial Journalism Training Program was that many highly qualified journalists had limited experience writing data-driven business and financial stories. Bloomberg Philanthropies partnered with business schools and journalism schools to provide postgraduate education.
Bloomberg dedicates almost all of its profits to transforming lives around the world. See how at bloomberg.com/face-the-data. At Staples, you can count on every project being print perfect, guaranteed.
I need presentations and brochures printed, and they have to be perfect.
Your bounded presentations, brochures with the finest folds, and more will be done right every time. That's our Print Big promise. Now at Staples, get $10 off your document printing and marketing materials order of $50 or more, plus 20% back by a store bonus. Try Staples and see the difference. Ends 2/25. Rewards members only. Bonus must be redeemed in store. See staples.com/stores/printbig for details.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.